Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cropper here. I want to introduce Jericomovie to Objectivism. Let's bring to bear some rationality on this gentleman, see if we can't convert him. He seems quite rational. Now, I have two books here that Jericomovie himself might be interested in. These are college-level texts. You can get them for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks online. You pay $100 a piece if you get them in the bookstore, but online you can get them for less than that. First of all, by Robert Audi, A-U-D-I. It's just called Epistemology, E-P-I-S-T-M-O-L-O-G-O-I. A Contemporary Introduction to the Theory of Knowledge. And by Michael J. Lux, L-O-U-X, Metaphysics, A Contemporary Introduction. These are pretty good. These are almost orthodox with objectivism, very close to orthodox with objectivism without mentioning objectivism and without being any part of it. It's like rational thought has to be smuggled in, and there are certain people that you can't have anything to do with if you're going to get into the scene in academia or the universities. You can bring in an argument as long as you couch it in politically correct terms and you don't mention anyone who's unequivocally moral, like Ayn Rand. So anyways, let's look at objectivism from the top down, or from the bottom up, shall we say. Let's start with the axioms. There's 5 branches of philosophy. Go ahead and write this down in your notes. The first and second branch, metaphysics and epistemology. Those two branches go together. They're intertwined. They are distinct but cannot be separated for reasons that will become clear. Metaphysics and epistemology are the basic branches out of which other things grow. So your theories in metaphysics and epistemology dictate your theories in the following branches. Branch 3 is ethics, or morality. It is the normative science, the science of what man ought to do, what it is proper and good for man to do, what values and actions achieve man's life, or are beneficial to man's life. That is the science of ethics. That comes what happens in ethics, and whether or not you even interpret ethics as the science of benefiting man's life, comes from your philosophy, your philosophical ideas in epistemology and metaphysics. Now, from your idea of what the individual ought to do and what his purpose in life is, develop the idea of what he ought to do in relation to the group. That's politics. That's the 4th branch. So ethics, politics, and then the 5th branch is just about the only thing left in all of human discourse, and that is art. The Romantic Manifesto was Ayn Rand's treatise on art. You kind of need to be interested in what's being said about it to get into it. It's not light reading if you're not really looking for answers in that realm. But we'll get to that a little bit later. First of all, in metaphysics and epistemology, I think Mr. Jericomovie, pardon me if I don't know his name, it appears to me that for all intents and purposes, he accepts that we exist, that there has to be something real independent of us. Rabid skepticism doesn't seem to be his trait. Therefore, we don't really have to spend a lot of time trying to convince him that he exists. That's good. That's actually one of the warning signs that you need to turn around and walk away. A discussion about rationality with this person won't bear fruit if you can't convince them that they exist or that they are real or whatever. So we're that far with him. Now the axioms that tell us that are very interesting. We're going to go to Ayn Rand's Introduction to Objectivist Epistemology. Now I should perhaps at this point mention that we are going about this backwards, aren't we? We are sort of going about this from the bottom up, whereas philosophically axioms had to be discovered after we had found out about politics and then ethics, and then we knew something about the mind, and then we figured out more about science and reality, and then at that point we can sort of say, well, here's the axioms and lay them out. But we're starting at the axioms and moving forward. Just recognize we're doing it in reverse of the way that we had to get there in human history. Philosophy does progress, it does move forward. Certain ideas are necessary for other ideas to be formulated. And that's how we got to the point we are today. Not all change is progress. Now, from Introduction to Objectivist Epistemology by Ayn Rand, Chapter 6, Axiomatic Concepts. Starting right at the first of the chapter here. Axioms are usually considered to be propositions identifying a fundamental, self-evident truth. But explicit propositions as such are not primaries. They are made of concepts. So if you say existence exists, you have a concept already. It's not a primary of the concept of what existence is, and then you're saying what existence does. It exists. You've got two concepts there linked together in a sentence, in an idea, in a thought. So you've already got something beyond a primary. So the base of man's knowledge of all other concepts, all axioms, propositions, and thought, consists of axiomatic concepts. An axiomatic concept is the identification of a primary fact of reality which cannot be analyzed, i.e., reduced to other facts or broken into component parts. It is implicit in all facts of knowledge. It is the fundamentally given and directly perceived or experienced, which requires no proof or explanation, but on which all proofs and explanations rest. So an axiomatic concept, existence, identity, and consciousness, is a concept which you can't break down into other concepts. It's a concept which is readily available to your five senses. It's right here and can't be denied. And it's a concept which is implicit in any claim of knowledge whatsoever. Now, axioms themselves, as she clarifies for us here, are not fundamental self-evident truths. Axiomatic concepts are self-evident truths. The axioms are a philosopher's identification of self-evident truths. She makes a statement here on page 56, quote, "Existence and identity are not attributes of existence. They are the existence." So the fact of existing and the fact of having an identity isn't an attribute of a thing that exists. That is the thing that exists. There's no separation between the things. It is that fact in reality. If that's valuable to you, good. If not, don't worry too much about it because it's pretty abstract. Now, let's just look at the last thing we'll do here on axioms. Epistemologically, the formation of axiomatic concepts is an act of abstraction, a selective focusing on and a mental isolation of metaphysical fundamentals. But metaphysically, the formation of axiomatic concepts is an act of integration, the widest integration possible to man because it unites and embraces the total of his experiences. So it is a very, very broad integration for you to define that idea of self-awareness, the idea of self-consciousness, consciousness being you existing, is going to apply every single day, forever, in every single way, for all of your existence. The same goes with the other concepts of the axioms. So it is the widest integration possible to man. Now, with that in your pocket, can you ask yourself, would it be difficult for most people to grasp axioms? Most people cannot grasp integrations that are not too broad. Fairly narrow integrations, just explaining to them the workings of a free economy or how it is that evolution is obviously the way that things evolve, including humans. So if they can't even grasp some of the smaller abstractions we can get to them, how about the widest possible abstraction of all, an axiomatic concept? A concept that applies to all of reality and all of experience through all of the person's history and in all of their future, and interprets everything that they are or ever will be. That is a powerful concept, and that is an axiomatic concept. It comes from objectively observed facts of reality, the five senses, that cannot be denied unless you use those facts to try to deny them. We exist, we are real, and if anyone is to say anything about what we can do in reality, what we should do in reality, then they're going to have to address the fact that we exist, we are independent, we have free will. Okay, those are the three axioms: existence, identity, and consciousness. Now, that is going to bring us to the next video installment, which will be ethics.